Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Diane and my passion is painting and creating in my studio. Every day I share a video with you on YouTube in which I paint and create all sorts of nature-inspired pictures. I also share loads of tips on how to make the most of your painting journey, interrupted fairly frequently by our family of dogs, cats, chickens and sheep. So welcome on board, click subscribe and turn on notifications and let's learn to paint watercolour. Today I'm going to experiment a little bit and I'm going to use some Indian ink to paint in these birds, and so they're going to be completely black and opaque, and then I'm going to let them dry, and once they're dry I'm going to paint the tree branches and the background behind over the top with some light washes. That's the plan. I have absolutely no idea how this is going to work out. So I'm also wondering whether this is the best size brush to use. That might be a bit too big. I'm a bit short of the sort of intermediate sizes really. I could do with a 4, I think. Well, anyway, I think the smallest I've got is it really a 7? No, 7. What about this one? That one looks like it would do. That's a number 5. So a number 5 round synthetic. And I will make sure that I wash this out once I've painted these in, because I don't think that the brush would benefit very much from being left. So I'm just going to pop in the body of the birds in black. I'm sort of thinking this time of the year the birds are, actually I was looking out the window, well no, I was standing on the doorway on the step and watching all the swallows congregating on the telegraph wires outside the house. I thought they'd gone already, but they hadn't. But they will be going soon, because the collecting point for the swallows around here seems to be the wires outside our house. We've got 3 conveniently placed. I think they're phone cables, I think they are. I still call them telegraph lines. Don't know why. It's time I got with the program, isn't it? Okay, so I'm just generally, these are not swallows. These would be crows or starlings, probably starlings I should imagine. I'm not putting in any features, just their tails and the body, just to give a kind of striking sort of silhouette. That's the word I'm looking for. Silhouette. I think that one probably could be a tiny bit bigger. Okay, now this one will have a sketch up online, no problem, on dianeantone.com, so pop over there and pick up your sketch if you want to have a go at doing this and find it easier to work with my sketches. I'll pop the lid back on that. I have a horror of knocking over a bottle of ink, which isn't surprising when there's a 3-month-old kitten running around the place like a complete and utter total lunatic. So I'm going to use a different palette today. I'm going to use some colours I haven't used for a while. I am going to use Potter's Pink. There was a time not so long ago when Potter's Pink was unknown to me, and then there was a time not so long ago also when I used it in practically every painting for a little while. And then, you know, like most new things to our lives, it fell into disuse and I forgot all about it. But never mind. Fear not, Potter's Pink, you are returning to the center of the stage. I'm just going to put some water on that and let that soften up. And then after I've done that and shown you what the other colors are going to be, I will pop off and make a cup of coffee and Then we'll come back and do what we're going to do. So that's Potter's Pink, and until I get my wonderful set of Daniel Smith granulating and oh so exciting colours, which I'm hoping for at some point, I'm going to have to make do with what I've got, and I'm looking for turquoise. So there we are, that's turquoise blue, that's from Old Holland, but I'm sure everybody makes a turquoise. Probably won't use very much for that, but that's what I want. And then I'm looking for raw sienna. Raw sienna, let me see. And raw sienna is not a colour I use very often, and I don't have any out. So we'll get a new little dishlet, and I've moved everything round. My table, I've had to move it out of the way of the air conditioning, and my table was just right in front, literally, of the air, and it gave me quite a sore throat the other day. So I thought, and I think I know what that is, it's the air conditioning. So I've moved my desk, and now it means that everything that used to be on my left is now on my right, and I'm a bit discombobulated. So you have to bear with me if I wander around looking aimlessly for things. So this is my tray of tubes of paint. I keep them roughly in colour order, so I've got the whites and the blacks, the yellows and the neutrals, so that's things like sepia and black, and not black, sepia and neutral tint and stuff, and then the greens and the blues and the reds and the yellows, that's Payne's grey. Raw umber, that's not what I want raw sienna. It's burnt umber. Oh dear, I'm sure I've got it somewhere. Here. Yellow ochre will do. Burnt sienna. Naples yellow. Naples yellow. I don't know what that is. Okay, I'm going to use yellow ochre instead, and you know why? Because I've got a big tube of it. So that will do. That will do. So what do you think of that palette? Pink, blue and yellow. So that's a modified primary triad. Modified primary triad, because you've got your blue, your red and your yellow. Is that dry? Not quite. So what I've done on this sketch here is I've just drawn out some branches, and then I'm going to paint in a background, and then I'm going to try to work sort of, well, it will be very, very light, I'll use very, very light raw sienna, since that's the only one I could find, and perhaps with a tiny bit, with a bit of pink in it, perhaps. And then I'll do the branches, a loose wet in wet thing. So that's what I'm going to do. I have to wait a minute for that to dry though. The blue should be there. And I'll be back in a minute. So for the background behind the birds, I'm going to imagine it's a misty morning, and so I want a kind of pale greyish, pinkish colour. So I'm just mixing a bit of Potter's Pink with some turquoise, and that's giving me a nice soft grey, quite light. So that's quite nice. I think I quite like that. So that's, the background is going to be something along those lines. So you can see that there, it's very neutral. It's a bit like Davy's grey actually, so that would be another alternative. So I'm just going to mix up a bit of that. Something like that. Remembering it will dry a bit lighter. And we'll see what happens when we put that in. It will granulate because it's got potter's pink in it. So that will give it texture. Just painting round the birds. Filling the holes in between the branches. Hey ho, I think I need a cup of coffee. Did I say I was going to make one? I decided not to. Okay, so that's the background. A variety of pinks and blues there for the background, and then in a minute I will paint the branches, but we'll wait for that to dry first, and then once that's dry we'll put in some more branches. Maybe even before it's dry we might put in some more branches. I might use the Carrot Aquarelle pencils, which I really like for things like tree branches and so on. In fact, I might even start putting some in right now. Twigs, you know. Let me think. This was just a kind of a start with the little twigs. Depends how much you want to do. Maybe I will emphasize some of the joins in the branches where there might be a bit of shadow. I think the thing is, when you do a piece of art, you know, I might start out with a certain idea about what I'm going to do, but it doesn't always It's not that it goes wrong, but I don't think you should ever have a fixed idea. So, you know, I start off and I'm saying to you, I'm going to do this or that. But if as I start, I feel inspired, that's a fancy word, to do something slightly different, then I will. I'll change it. Okay, well, I think that's okay so far. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm going to drop in some paint into this branch. And I know that the pencil is going to run a little bit, which is good. And then I'm going to put in and let it run some turquoise and some raw sienna, yellow ochre, sorry. And some pink. You can probably hear the cat being silly in the background. And this one I'm going to do with a sort of green, which I've mixed from the turquoise and the yellow ochre, or whatever colour that is. Now I've forgotten what I put there. Yellow ochre, wasn't it? And then I'm going to add some pink to that to make it into sort of brown. So that's all three of those colours. And maybe a bit more pink. Okay, so each of the branches is a slightly different colour, and then at this point we can, while it's still wet, we can come back in with our pencil and we can put some more texture on to the branches if we want to. It's not absolutely obligatory, you don't have to, but it's fun. I quite like doing this. But if you feel that the pencil makes it look dirty, then don't do that. You might feel that you want it a cleaner effect, and I completely understand. There are times when I would do it like that too. But so we can also put the beaks of the birds in with this pencil. I think that's dry. I can rest my hand on there. There we are, that's what we've got so far. As for where you go from here, there's various options. You can emphasize or increase the number of twiggy bits. You could put some spatter on. You could wait for it to dry and then come back in and do more work on the trunks. If I use this on its side, I get texture, and I could make shadow. Under the birds. All depends whether you just want a very simple graphic image or whether you want something a little bit more complicated. What I mustn't forget is their legs. So we'll do their feet now. It's dry enough for that. That's still wet, so I can't really paint over it for the moment. I wanted to make it darker. Have to be a bit careful. And you could, I don't know, I think it might be quite nice to have a bit of spattery leaves on the branches up here, down here. And maybe a few, that's a too big brush for that. Oh, wait a minute. And just indicate a few sketchy leaves. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and come back and see what's what in a few minutes. So that's now dry, and I'm just going to add one or two little, just tiny little touches of burnt sienna in one or two places, just to add some warmth to the picture, but not too much, because the whole idea of this was that it was meant to be a cold, wintry scene with the birds huddling together on a branches where there was not really any leaves, and it was all kind of, you know, getting ready to snow sort of thing. The last leaves are just about to fall off. I know we haven't got to winter yet, but we will one day, and then this will be totally appropriate. So there's the final painting. I'm going to leave it like that. That was a bit of fun for this morning. If you did enjoy that, I hope you did, and if you wouldn't mind giving me a like and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, that would be absolutely great. And don't forget to turn on notifications as well. And if you want the sketch of this by any remote chance, then do pop over to DianeAntone.com, where we will have this sketch and many others as well for you to download free of charge. And that's about all I'm going to say today. I'm going to save my voice and I'm going to let you get on with your day. And I will see you tomorrow, most likely. So thanks very much for being here today. And I'll just say bye-bye for now, everyone. Bye-bye. So I've taken another look at this, and I was thinking that crows go very well with elderberries. I think it's a traditional pagan sort of connection. So, and the elderberries are all out at the moment. So we thought, well, let's just add a few hints of elderberry there on this on these branches. So that's what I'm doing now. So just really just hinting at it, just a few here and there. I'm using Windsor violet mixed with a bit of turquoise. And because we've already got some little drops on there from the spatter, that looks like a little bit of shadow and so on and so forth, so that's okay. That's a bit green. Yeah. Okay.